Do you wish to become a knot master? Keep watching to ascend. Hi, I'm Kelly from Body Health Mechanics. I am a registered massage therapist in Ontario, Canada. I am also in my second year of holistic health coaching course and also a Reiki master. My primary goal for this channel is to help you become your own mechanic. If you like the content, feel free to subscribe and to help me help you and others become their own mechanic. Welcome back. Today in this video we're going to be discussing knots and how to find them. So before we get into how to find them, we're going to talk about what they feel like normally. So in general, muscles are fairly flat. Usually when they bunch up and create the knot, it's because of a repetitive stress injury. A repetitive stress injury, if you're not familiar, it just means you're doing the same movement all the time. The most common one I see are desk workers or on your phone. I'm guilty of this too, is leaning forward and doing whatever you're doing on your phone or on your computer and pulling things between your shoulder blades, and it just creates a knot somewhere in there that eventually becomes a literal headache. So knots, trigger points, and pinched nerve are all interchangeable words basically for the same thing. It's muscle that is so tight that it's pushing on the nerve, and now the nerve is involved and creating some shooting fantastical pain. It's either shooting electric pain or it's shooting like aching pain. If you have something up here or in here, it would shoot down your arm and sometimes in your hand, just because it's cool like that. So if you're wanting to know what it's feeling like, and this, to me, this is how it feels when I'm looking for it on somebody who's on the table, is if you're going along somebody's arm, for example, and the muscles are all tight, but then there's one spot in particular that's just tighter than the rest of it, you've probably found yourself a trigger point. Scar tissue or adhesions. They are so common that in the 7 years that I've been practicing, every single person that I've massaged has some form of scar tissue or another. Scar tissue forms usually from repetitive stress injury. So if you're doing the same movement over and over again, it causes micro injury, meaning really, really, really small injury. So when the body comes in to heal, whatever's going on, whatever injury has happened, it comes in like a paintball player. So it shoots it at that spot, but then gets everything around it. So those things around it become scarred tissue and just kind of sticks out, hangs out with the muscle there. So when you're looking for your knot or your trigger point in the muscles, these scar tissue will feel like little bumps. They don't hurt. They're a little bit different from knots. Knots is usually one spot, bigger spot, and when you press on it, you definitely know because it hurts. Before we get into the demonstration, I will show you how to find these knots on other people. We are going to establish a pain scale. So 0 meaning no pain whatsoever, 5 being a paper cut, and 10 being labor pains or kidney stones. You obviously do not want to be at a 10. Where you want to be is somewhere between 5, the paper cut, and the labor pains, somewhere like a 7. So when you're pushing on this particular knot that you've found, keep it at a 7. However, that being said, if this person that you're trying to help says that's way too much and they're tearing up and they're going to turn around and deck you, you ease off, because that is the polite thing to do, and you don't want to hurt them any more than you have to. Ease off a little bit. You can still make just as an effect with 5 or 6 as you would with 7. Put it at a spot where they're okay with it, and eventually you'll feel it sometimes just deflate, or they'll tell you that the intensity is going down, and you want to get back to a 0. All right, so the demonstration is we're going to show you how to find knots or trigger points very quickly. Again, this is how I find them. This is how I've been doing this for 7 years. So basically we're going to say she has pain somewhere in her shoulder blades, somewhere within there. So basically what you're going to do is you can take your thumbs, your fingers, whichever, and just start pushing down on either side. You have to do symmetry because first of all, it's comparable. If it's all tight muscle, usually everybody's tight in there. It's all going to be tight. However, you want to find the tightest spot because that is usually where your knot is. So when you do that, you're coming along here and saying, oh, this is tighter than this, which it is. It's tighter on this side. So when you're doing this, just in comparison, there is a knot right here, for example, and you're going to keep going down and just kind of check around. So essentially what you're looking for is the spot that gives you the most resistance when you're pushing in. It's going to feel like it's pushing back when you're going around whichever muscle. It doesn't necessarily mean the shoulder blade. If you're going in somebody's leg, it's the spot that gives the most resistance and the most pain to them. When you push on it, somebody's going to be like, ow. However, that being said, if, for example, you're still working within the shoulder blade, 9 times out of 10, it's not always, but 9 times out of 10, if they're feeling it in their right shoulder, for example, you got to check the left anyway for a comparison, but also usually where they're feeling their pain is not where that knot actually is. If it's right here, it might be something down here, it might be across, it might be something different, but it's usually almost never in the spot where they feel it. It tends to travel. It's usually within the vicinity, but not exactly. So you have to make sure if somebody is, for example, is having pain within their shoulder, to keep going down to their low back, because you might find something here and release it and they feel better, but then they keep moving around and the pain is still there. So you've missed something. So you just keep going down to make sure that you find something. For example, there's something right here. You're going down and you're finding, oh, this is a little tight here. Let's try releasing that. Don't try to do too many. Depends on the person on the table, like I said, and also establish your pain scale to make sure that they do not turn around and deck you in the face with your well intentions. So now that we've found and we've established that there are knots, we've found them, we're all proud of ourselves, we've gotten them, that's great. What do you do with them? So the most common complaint that I get from people that come in, they'll tell me that the person at home, their partner or otherwise, the well-intentioned, probably voluntold person who wants to help get rid of these knots, complains about their thumbs hurting if they have to do it for too long. So basically, what you're going to do, instead of using your thumbs, because if you use your thumb strength, it doesn't have a whole lot of muscles, and it's going to burn out, and you're going to be the one ending up with knots or something hurting. So what you could do is put your thumb on the knot, find it, you found it, you're great, you're in this position. You can use both hands if you want, and put your weight through it, so that the thumb itself is not pushing, but your weight is going through your thumbs. If I were a little bit taller or she was a little bit shorter, this would look a lot less weird. But this is basically what you're going to do that way. However, you don't want to be standing on their back, and you want to make sure you're still working with the pain scale. So when you're pushing down, you have to be at your 7. Is this okay?
Yes.
Perfect. So we keep going until we feel, or you feel the muscle, it will feel like it's flattening like a pancake. Or this person will tell you it's gone from a 7, now it's at a 3, I'm good. And then you're okay. After that, put some heat on it. However, the other ways to do this, again, you're holding this knot immobile, it's not going anywhere. You can do a reinforced thumb. So this pressure is coming through this other hand. So this thumb is there on the knot, and you're pushing your force through your hand, to the thumb, and obliterating the knot. You can use any part of your fist. Just use it through your weight. So you're pushing on something and just put your weight through it instead of using your forearm muscles, because they'll burn out really quickly. Same thing with the elbow. You can put the elbow there, but it is very bony, and it's not amazing feeling to have that in one spot for too long. You also don't want it in your neck, because from previous experience, that feels not amazing. It basically gives off more pain than it helps, really, because we don't want to do that, do we?
No.
Right. All right, so with this demonstration, basically is that you found the knot, but you don't want to use your hands for whatever reason. If you'd rather use something else, I highly recommend a yoga tune-up ball. They are spongy, but they also retain your shape, so when you're pushing on it, it doesn't flatten, which is, kind of pointless. So The same thing with the thumbs. You're putting it wherever it hurts. I've heard people use a lacrosse ball, a whatever, any kind of ball. Honest, whatever works and it doesn't hurt you, use whatever. You have the tune-up ball in the spot so that you found the spot. You're putting it on the knot, and you're using your weight again through this hand, and you're pushing through. Again, using your communication so that you do not get decked. Right. So, to put it all together, we found the knot. We figured out how to find the knot. The difference between that and scar tissue. Scar tissue feels very bumpy, whereas a knot is like that's the point of the most resistance when you're pushing down into the muscle. And being that the amazing person that you are, you're looking to help so that you know that when you push into these knots, you're using your body weight and not your thumb muscle, because there's not a whole lot in there to begin with. If you have any questions or have any comments to suggestions for any future videos, please feel free to leave a comment below. Remember, with all this and everything else, listen to your body. See you in the next video.